Gee, I figured for the next speed paints I could just start reading pages from a book known as Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I hope you enjoy these next few speed paints, as it will be me reading the chapters from this book. I hope you enjoy. Chapter 1. Down the Rabbit Hole. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank, and of having nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversation? So she was just considering in her own mind, as well as she could for the hot day that made her feel very sleepy and stupid, whether the pleasure of making a daisy chain would be worth the trouble of getting up and picking the daisies. And then suddenly, a white rabbit with pink eyes ran close by her. There was nothing so very remarkable in that, nor did Alice think it so very much out of the way to hear that the rabbit say to itself, oh dear, I shall be late." When she thought it over afterwards, it occurred to her that she ought to have wondered at this, but at the time it all seemed quite natural. But when the rabbit actually took a watch out of his waistcoat pocket and looked at it and then hurried on, Alice started her feet, for it flashed across her mind that she had never before seen a rabbit with either a waistcoat pocket or a watch to take out of it, and burning with curiosity, she ran across the field after it, and fortunately was just in time to see it pop down a large rabbit hole under the hedge. In another moment, down went Alice after it, never once considering how in the world she was to get out again. The rabbit hole went straight on, like a tunnel for some way, and then dipped suddenly down, so suddenly that Alice had not a moment to think about stopping herself before she found herself falling down a very, very deep well. Either the well was very deep, or she fell very slowly, for she had plenty of time as she went down to look about her, and to wonder what was going to happen next. First she tried to look down and make out what she was coming to, but it was too dark to see anything. Then she looked at the sides of the shelves. Here and there she saw maps and pictures hung upon pegs. She took down a jar from the shelves she passed. It was labeled Orange Marmalade, but on her great disappointment it was empty. She did not like to drop the jar for fear of it killing somebody, so managed to put it into one of the cupboards as she fell past it. Well, thought Alice to herself, after such a fall as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling downstairs. How brave they'll all think of me home. Why, I wouldn't say a thing about it, even if I fell off the top of the house, which was very likely true. Down, down, down. Would the fall never come to an end? I wonder how many miles I've fallen by this time, she said aloud. I must be getting somewhere near the center of the earth. Let me see. That would be 4,000 miles down, I think. For you see, Alice had learnt several things of this sort of her lessons in this classroom, and though this was not a very good opportunity for showing off her knowledge, as there was no one to listen to her, still it was good practice to say it over. Yes, that's about right. Distance. But then I wonder what latitude and longitude I've got to. Alice had no idea what latitude was or longitude either, but thought they were nice grand words to say. Presently she began again. I wonder if I shall fall through the earth. How funny it'll seem to come out among people that walk with their heads downward. The antipathies, I think. She was rather glad there was no one listening at this time, as it didn't sound at all like the right word. But I shall have to ask them what the name of the country is. You know, please, ma'am, this is New Zealand or Australia? And she tried to curtsy as she spoke. Fancy curtsying as you're falling through the air. Do you think you can manage it? And what an ignorant little girl. She'd think of me for not asking. No, I'll never do to ask. Perhaps I shall see it written up somewhere. Down, down, down. There was nothing else to do, so Alice soon began walking again. Dinah will miss me very much tonight, I should think. Dinah was the cat. I hope they remember her saucer of milk at tea time. Dinah, my dear, I wish you were down here with me. There's no mice in the air. I'm afraid but you might catch a bat, and that's very like a mouse, you know. But do cats eat bats, I wonder? And here Alice began to get rather sleepy, and went on saying to herself in a dreamy sort of way, do cats eat bats? Do cats eat bats? And sometimes, do bats eat cats? For you see, as she couldn't answer either question, it didn't matter much which way she put it. She felt like she was dozing off, and had just begun to dream that she was walking hand in hand with Dinah, and saying to her very earnestly, now Dinah, tell me the truth, did you ever eat a bat? When suddenly, thump thump, down she came on a heap of sticks and dry leaves, and all the fall was over. Alice was not a bit hurt, and she jumped up to her feet in a moment. She looked up, and it was all dark overhead. Before her was another long passage, and a white rabbit was still in sight, hurrying down it. There was not a moment to be lost. Away went Alice like the wind, just in time to hear it say, as it turned a corner, oh my ears and whiskers, how late is this getting? She was close behind it when she turned the corner, but the rabbit was no longer seen. She found herself in a long, low hall, which was lit up by a row of lamps hanging from the roof. There were doors all around the hall, but they were all locked, and when Alice had been all the way down to the side and up and rather trying every door she could, sadly down the middle, wondering how she was ever going to get out again. Suddenly she came upon a little three-legged table, all made of solid glass. There was nothing on top of it except a tiny golden key, and Alice's first thought was that it might belong to one of the doors of the hall. But alas, either the locks were too large, or the key was too small. But at any rate, it would not open any of them. However, on the second time around, she came upon a low curtain she had not noticed before, and behind it was a little door, about 15 inches high. She tried the little golden key in the lock, and to her great delight, it fitted. Alice opened the door and found that it led into a small passage, not much larger than a rat hole. She knelt down and looked along the passage into the loveliest garden you ever saw. However, she longed to get out of that dark hall, and wandered about among those beds of bright flowers and those cool fountains, but she could not even get her head through the doorway. And even if my head could get through, thought poor Alice, it would be of very little use without my shoulders. Oh, how I wish I could shut up like a telescope. I think I could if only I knew how to begin. For you see, so many out-of-the-way things had happened lately that Alice had begun to think that very few things indeed were really impossible.